Welcome. You're watching the Thrift Store Rundown, where we bring Hollywood home on a budget. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is once again my distinct displeasure to bring you another Twilight review. We get it. Not everyone is a big fan of Twilight. Not even myself. That's a universal truth. But why I'm bringing this review to you today is because on Wednesday, May 26th, in just a few days, we'll be experiencing a total lunar eclipse. We're going to try and get a glimpse of the super flower blood moon, which if you haven't seen it before, it's definitely a new moon to us. I should have bought the Eclipse soundtrack by Howard Shore, 3-time Oscar-winner for Lord of the Rings, but you know what, for this review in hindsight, selecting the New Moon soundtrack from 2-time Oscar-winner Alexandre Desplat is definitely more appropriate. And in my opinion, even though this is the first score soundtrack for any Twilight movie I bought, far superior. And of course, in terms of pricing, definitely superior. 25% off the price of $2.49, you really can't go on. What also makes this soundtrack superior is because the people at Summit Entertainment actually had the guts to hire the one and only world-renowned London Symphony Orchestra to perform Alexandre Desplat's score, which runs a little over 70 minutes. I'm not kidding. The London Symphony Orchestra, credited as the London Symphony Orchestra in the film, but still, actually performed and recorded the score at London's famed Air Lyndhurst Hall. If you don't believe me, have a look behind the scenes.
At the same time, you're editing together the movie, and you're working on the music, and you are working on the sound effects, and all kinds of other processes are going on. We're getting score from Alexandre Desplat, who is posting temporary score to us and emailing him back, getting a back and forth with him about how the score is going to fit into its different spots.
Tie codes, just timp.
Alexandre, our composer, made us a temporary version of tracks, which will eventually be recorded, and Chris will go to London to the recording to be there for that.
We've got the London Symphony Orchestra playing for us, one of the greatest orchestras in the world, so the amazing thing is how quickly they get it.
There's a lot of minutes to record, 80 minutes of music. Sometimes when you watch a film, you don't realize that there's so much music going on behind the dialogues and the action, but it's a huge part of the post-production moment.
That took literal brass balls. But I gotta say, it's a move that paid off. Because throughout these 21 tracks, you have a very simple theme that is played throughout the film in certain alliterations, so to speak, certain alterations. It's pointed when it needs to be, it's hauntingly romantic when it needs to be, and it's action-packed when it needs to be. So really, it's tightly put together, and good timing all around. The film is rated PG-13 for some violence and action, but really it's Twilight. What can you expect? Why no sexuality? That's not a hallmark of any Twilight movie. Hello? On account of Robert Pattinson, Taylor Lautner, hey, I call it as I see it, and Kristen Stewart, sexuality is one of the principal aspects of any Twilight movie. And dare I say, with Alexandre Desplat conducting the London Symphony Orchestra, without a baton, mind you. I guess he wants to feel the energy of the musicians. The score itself is pretty sexual as well, but artistically so, not vulgar. And yes, that's a long way for me to go to explain why I like the New Moon score soundtrack. I'll be damned if I ever buy one of those song soundtracks, because, well, I don't want to discredit Alexandra P's work. She's also the music supervisor of Grey's Anatomy. But, I am not into post-apocalyptic sounding, alt-angst, pop, rock No, not my thing. Never will be my thing. The Twilight Saga New Moon score by Alexandre Desplat earns all 5 claps. And I have to say, this is actually the very first time I've ever recommended a Twilight-related item wholeheartedly. Because it really is that awesome. Yes, I will be on the lookout for Carter Burwell and Howard Shore's score soundtracks. Carter Burwell is the composer for the original Twilight film and the final 2 films, Breaking Dawn Parts 1 and 2, and Howard Shore, as I said before, for Eclipse. I will be looking for those, and if I find them at the thrift store, you will see them here on the Thrift Store Rundown. But until then, if you're planning to experience the total solar eclipse, total lunar eclipse, total solar eclipse, one and the same to me. If you're looking to experience the Superflower Blood Moon this Wednesday and you don't have any music to provide some much needed ambience, well, as far as Twilight goes, let's face it, you could do worse. But it really is a soundtrack that you'll want to sink your teeth into, like Edward Cullen. And whether you side with Team Edward or Team Jacob is, well, not really my concern. I'm picking Team Desplat and Team LSO. Thanks for watching and listening. I'll catch you on the thrift side, and hopefully not with another Twilight review beyond the soundtracks I just mentioned ever again.